What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dtlf back with another video. Biggest winners and losers of yesterday's NBA draft lottery. We're going to get into all that. We got really cool update on Bronny James, and talk a little bit about the Lakers, etc., etc. But first off, hopefully everybody's doing well today. Happy Monday. It is officially 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, 1:38, should I say. So I'm a little bit late. I was supposed to go on live at 1:30, but here we are. And got some intel for you guys, man. So let's start off with Bronny James. Bronny James has officially medically been cleared and is expected that he will remain in the NBA draft, which means that Bronny will probably be drafted. Probably, right? There's a chance he goes undrafted, but he's going to remain in the draft, which means he's not going back to college. This is it for him. And he's taking to take that quantum leap at the next level. And that's exciting news for Bronny James, who, he's fully cleared to play an NBA draft combine starting today. So he plans to participate in a 5-on-5 scrimmage and giving NBA teams an opportunity to get a fresh look at him as an NBA prospect. Now, I've been on the record as the same. I don't want the Lakers to draft him with our first round pick, which I don't think we're probably even going to keep, right? I'd be shocked if the Lakers keep the first round pick. However, I like Bronny James. I like him as a young man. He seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He seems very intelligent. He seems like he's cut from a good cloth, obviously his pops. And I'm rooting for him to do well individually, regardless of where he gets drafted, right? Now, here's the Lakers update, right? It says that the Lakers likely won't make Bronny James a top priority. This is coming from Brian Windhorst, all right? It says, this is what he said, and I quote, "I think if the Lakers have an opportunity to draft Bronny James, they will do so, whether that's with the 55th pick or if they make another deal around the draft, then they'll pick up. I think they will try, right?" He also says, "I don't think it's going to be their top priority. I don't think the league right now is looking at this like if you draft Bronny James, you can get LeBron." So, end quote. That is how Brian Windhorst feels right now. That is how he feels. So Bronny James declaring, man, there's gonna be a lot of eyeballs. You guys see you guys see my wallpaper in the back I created for this morning's video. I mean, look, a part of me would be very excited to see Bronny join the Lakers. What's up, Die Hard? What's up, KJ? Good to see y'all, man. A part of me would be very excited to see a father-son duo. Hey, Sharon, good to see you. A duo join the NBA and actually do good, right? Because what would Bronny James look like? We haven't seen enough of him, enough of a sample size to compare him to anybody. But one thing I can say is that Bronny James seems like he would be a decent defensive player. Maybe he can become like a poor man's Josh Hart. I don't know. We'd have to see a lot more from him before we can start making comparisons. But he is officially going to be at the draft combine today. It's already underway. And matter of fact, talking about the draft combine, there's a player I really, 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 really like, all right, for the Lakers, assuming they keep the pick, which I doubt they will. Lakers in 5. What's up, brother? Salute. And here's my pick right here. This is the guy I want for the Lakers. Mind you, Zach Edey out of Purdue is 7'4". You got like an 8-foot something wingspan. We need the size, chat. Not the quickest player, but check this out. He's working on spacing the floor. His form right here in this clip, I know it's a small sample size, but nonetheless, under pressure in the draft combine, he's spacing. His form looks good. Here he is knocking down some draft combine. So if he can space the floor, he's going to be a weapon for whoever drafts him. I like him. Again, 7'4". You can't teach size. He's got good footwork. He can finish around the basket. It looks like Zubac's, but taller around the basket, and he can definitely block some shots. So again, small sample size, but I think this guy right here is going to be somebody to look at, if assuming the Lakers keep the pick. Now, rumor has it that we will be trading the pick. We will be looking to move the pick. And I do want to talk about the biggest winners and losers of yesterday's NBA draft. You see the lottery results behind me, right? So you got the Atlanta Hawks picking number 1 overall in this year's NBA draft. Now, the Hawks definitely hit the jackpot despite only having 3% odds after finishing 10th in the Eastern Conference and making the play-in tournament, by the way, at 36-46. They dropped their final 6 regular season games and lost to the Chicago Bulls in the first round of the SoFi play-in tournament, all right? Now, even Landry Fields was shocked. He said it was a shock when they were moved up into the first slot. Again, they had only a 3% chance. That's the exciting part of the draft lottery. Nobody thought the Hawks were going to win it. But then again, the NBA has been known to rig it for the team that's likely to lose a star. Now, could this mean that Trae Young finally gets dealt? It sure as heck looks like it. Now, let's talk about the biggest winners. Obviously, the Hawks are the biggest winners with a 3% chance. They get the first overall pick. They can speed up the process of potentially rebuilding with Alex Sarr or any of these top prospects. But check this out. An even bigger winner yesterday was the San Antonio Spurs, because they were slotted to be the 5th overall pick, right, by lottery odds. And they moved up one slot. Not only that, but they got the 8th overall pick in the NBA draft as well. So they got 2 top 10 picks, which they can either deal or select. What would you guys do, chat? What would you guys do if you're the San Antonio Spurs? Are you drafting 2 young prospects to go along with Wemby, Jeremy Sohan, and all those guys? Or are you potentially packaging one of these 2, if not both, for like a Trae Young? And to, you know what I'm saying, Trae Young, or, you know, one of these young prospects, one of these young players to go alongside Wemby and the youth they already have would be tremendous, especially under Greg Popovich. My only question for that would be, will Trae Young actually buy into the system, become a role player of some sorts? Because to be a Spur, even if you're a star, you got to be a star within your own role. So you have that. So that's interesting. There's a couple of pieces that really should intrigue the Spurs in this year's NBA draft, and they could end up drafting there. But I think they're the biggest winners besides the Hawks, obviously, who get the first overall pick, because, again, this is one of those drafts that they say is one of the worst they've seen in 25 years. However, we've seen drafts like these. In 2013, they said the same thing about the draft that held Giannis, who got drafted, 11th, 13th overall? So you just never know. Sometimes these drafts could be sleepers. And so, again, the Spurs and the Hawks, to me, are the biggest winners. Biggest losers in this draft lottery got to be the Detroit Pistons, man. Got to be the Detroit. Listen, the Pistons have been dreadful, all right, for about half a decade now. And over the last 5 years, they've won just 24.5% of their games. That's dead last in the league over that span. So, you know, the gap between 29th place is about the same as the gap between 29th and 16th. So, in 2023 and 2024 alone, the Pistons were 14-68, giving themselves the worst record in the league and the best odds to secure the number 1 overall pick. And they dropped back 4 slots. So that is got to be tough. They're definitely the losers. One of the worst teams we've seen in years. And just like that, you know, so they dropped back. Another loser in this draft lottery was the Charlotte Hornets, right? Now, here's the thing about the Charlotte Hornets. They have a nice young core of LaMelo Ball, who's always hurt, by the way. That's the sucky part. And Brandon Miller, who actually exceeded everybody's expectations, including mine. But, you know, and a rim protector, Mark Williams. So they're decent. But still, it would have been nice to add to that mix a top 3 pick. And after Sunday, despite having the 3rd best odds to wind up first, Charlotte finds itself outside of the top 5, right? So they drop back. And so even though there's still a chance, you hate to see it for the Charlotte Hornets. Another huge winner is the Houston Rockets, all right? Because there were a couple of stretches this season when it looked like the Houston Rockets would have a real shot to make the postseason, especially down the stretch when the Warriors were losing often, right? So, you know, they had some good offseason acquisitions, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, you know, people like that. And Ime Udoka, I think, is an excellent head coach, right? Alperen Sengun, he was borderline all-star this season. I mean, with his scoring and playmaking. Jalen Green, he broke out a little bit. You know, he's a volume scorer, but he broke out a little bit. He looks pretty decent for them. Jabari Smith Jr. Looks like he's got some things to work on, but he looks like he's gonna be solid as well. And then they added rookie Amen Thompson, which, by the way, badass name, Amen. That is so dope. And Cam Whitmore, who I thought the Lakers should have drafted, and you know, that second unit was firing. So, but even without a top pick, you know, the Houston were almost certainly going to be in the mix for the playoffs next season, right? Now the Rockets get a top 3 pick to add to the core, and they could also maybe even package it and trade it for another veteran if they want, or they could actually make a pick here. So that was a big winner as well in this draft lottery. But I mean, again, biggest winners so far have been the Hawks, who win first overall, and the Spurs, who end up with 2 picks because of the Jacob Poeltl trade. And the Raptors had to be, I think, top 6 in order to keep their pick. It was top 6 protected. or top 7 protected, and the Spurs landed it. So, man, talk about the luck of the Irish. Not only did they get lucky last year, landing the first overall pick and just a generational talent, but now they have 2 lottery picks in the top 10. And again, what will they do? What will they do? They can draft a point guard like Topich. They can go after one of those Kentucky guards, man. There's so much they can do, man. But what will they do? I look forward to the draft. I cannot wait to see it. Who did you guys think was the biggest winners and losers in the draft? I think another huge winner is Bronny James. The fact that he's medically cleared. And again, it's stated that the Lakers aren't going to prioritize him, but we could always trade for another second round pick, as well as maybe draft him with the 55th pick. We have a second round pick at 55. Now, mind you, the draft has gotten better because now it's split into 2 days, first round and second round. Why does this help? Because there's an intermission, more chances for trades in between days, more chances to analyze who's on the draft board, and more chances to get a better player potentially. So I'm very excited for this year's draft. Lakers have the 17th and 55th picks overall in this year's 2024 NBA draft. So stay tuned for that. I'll read a couple of comments, man. How y'all doing this morning? Good to see y'all. I had to bring y'all this video because, again, the draft lottery always excites me. The fact that the Hawks get the first overall pick lets me know that, you know what I'm saying? It's always rigged for somebody who's either traded a star or is about to trade a star. And this year was the Hawks. So he said biggest losers, Detroit and the Hornets. Yeah, man, Detroit, bro, they've had it bad, but that's what they kind of get. It's kind of basketball karma for tanking on purpose. They should not be doing that. You know, you got to try to build winning habits even when your team is not as good. And they lost more than any team I've ever seen in the history of the NBA. So, you know, the fact that they got punished makes me feel like it's more rigged. Like the league's not going to, you know, they're like the example for the rest of the NBA. If you guys don't compete, don't expect the first overall pick. Need to get Ant-Man when his contract ends. Oof, Craig, you're way ahead of the curve, man. That is too far ahead to look at. Right now, we got to focus on this offseason. And what do you guys think of my pick, Zach Edey? Last year, I had either Cam Whitmore or Jaime Jaquez to the Lakers at 17. We could have had either. Didn't pick any of them. So what do you guys think of Zach Edey this year at 17? Same exact spot where we were last year. Would you guys – and that's assuming the Pelicans forego this year's draft for next year's, because they're going to have either this year's or next year's. They still have time to change their mind. However, I don't see why they would pick this year's draft, because this is, again, slated to be one of the weakest drafts in the last 24 years. So think about that. Most likely they're going to let us keep our pick and try to poach our pick next year. They're probably hoping LeBron leaves or something really bad happens, and you know they get a lottery pick in the next year's draft when the Cooper Flag is going to be there, as well as some other really well-touted prospects. He said, Dan, would you lose respect if we hire JJ Redick? Not really. Again, I don't know too much about JJ Redick. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an expert of head coaches, when in reality, we got to wait and see what these new coaches could do. But I would be a little disappointed. I will say that. As far as losing respect for Jeannie, she delivered a championship in 2020. It's going to take a lot more than that for me to lose respect for Jeannie Buss. Now, if she bends over backwards, lets LeBron do whatever he wants, and we draft Bronny with the first overall pick, and then we give LeBron his max contract, and then we sign JJ Redick and do everything that LeBron wants, then I might lose a little respect for the Lakers organization as a whole. But I don't think all of that is going to happen. Something's got to give. Dan, seems likely every team wants to trade out of the draft. Seems like we might keep the pick again. He said, just hope we draft a good big. Zach Edey, man, definitely look at him, brother. Look at him for sure. If you guys don't believe me, look, I wasn't gonna drop a draft video because we're most likely gonna trade the pick, but I might still do it just to break down why I feel like he would be a good pick, as well as some other prospects that are out there, man. But I think this is going to be a sleeper draft, which means there's going to be some picks that are going to have long careers. Some won't. Hopefully we get the right one. We are vicious cycle of deja vu with our Lakers, and I feel like Redick would be LeBron's choice. We can't lose the genesis of Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality. Robert, it's going to be tough if, like I said, we do everything that LeBron wants, but let's see. My guy said Edey's going much faster, in my opinion. He might not, because he's not the prototypical big man floor spacer that the modern day NBA wants. He might even fall to late in the first round, but I would snatch him up real quick if he lands on the 17th. You might be right, though, Sergio. You never know with these drafts. They can be very unpredictable. But that's why I'm here to break it all down pick for pick live here on the channel and also on playback for the first time in my career. So that's going to be fun. But I look forward to it, man. The draft is always a must watch. Let's see here. Yes, Edey or Donovan Clinnigan from UConn. Yeah, again, we need a big. I prefer Edey, but you're right about Donovan. By the way, I have a quick update. It's kind of a sad one, man. This one's going to get you guys in the feels because we all grew up watching this show. But Bill Simmons hints on his next podcast, and the NBA's new media deal with NBC has been agreed upon and expected to be announced after the playoffs. So basically, that's no more inside the NBA. That's the sad part. Like TNT loses their rights to cover the basketball, and pretty much no more Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal. Now, obviously, NBC might recruit a couple of those guys over, but I heard that Ernie Johnson is not going over. He's going to stay with TNT, right? So that sucks. That absolutely sucks because, like, this is one of the best shows you can watch. Is for obviously besides mine, but this is one of the best shows you could watch in basketball. Even though there's a lot of Laker haterism going on over there, but it's still entertaining. Sometimes you just got to sit back and listen and have a good time. That's what Charles, Shaq, EJ, and Kenny the Jet always provided. So it's kind of sad to see that part of our childhood just, it feels like everything eventually goes to waste, man. It goes to waste. Like everything good eventually ends, right? From Hollywood Video to Blockbuster, now TNT is the next casualty to fall to media rights deal. So that sucks, man. But there is an upside. You're right about that, Kurt. There's always an upside. That is an upside for sure. DTLF, are you still selling those purple GOAT Mamba 824 jerseys? Yes. Go check them out. It's currently available right now on shopcorekings.com. So definitely go check them out, brother. We got all kinds of dope Kobe shirts. Look at this one. Showboat. Come on now. Come on now. And we just dropped this one right here. This is an absolute banger, man. If you know, you know. They not like us, baby. Go check it out. We got some bangers over there, so go check it out. He said they moved to HBO. Man, don't you guys hate how everything is just being split? And so now you're probably gonna if you follow a specific team that's not a local team, you're probably gonna have to get different platforms like Netflix, HBO Plus, blah blah blah, Disney Plus, all this crap, just to watch everything, all the sports. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm gonna miss cable where you can watch everything in one place. Right? It started with Leak Pass. Now that it's leaking out to other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Luckily for me, with Playback, I have 24/7 access, 365 days a year. And I can give 20 special guest VIP access every single game, if you guys follow me over there. So definitely go tap in, man. Playback TV. And we've been gaming lately. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Smitty. I'm right here for you guys at all times, my brother. Absolutely. But yeah, man, it's sad to see. It's sad to see that that's the way TNT's going to end. They're going to go out like some suckers, man. And you hate to see it. And the reason I say that is because, it would have been better if they just all retired and went their separate ways rather than, this way. Like TNT didn't want to, pony up the dough. I don't know why they wouldn't. You make a lot more money than what you got to pay. But it is what it is, man. Sometimes I guess people don't want to be coerced for more money. But yeah, that was the draft lottery yesterday. And again, for those of you that didn't watch, the final order was Atlanta number 1, Washington number 2. So shout out to Washington. They should improve, assuming they make the right selection. Houston number 3, San Antonio number 4. To me, between Atlanta and San Antonio, I'd pick San Antonio to be the biggest winners. Not because I don't like Alex Sarr. I definitely like him. And I think Atlanta's going to get a surefire starting caliber player. I don't know if he'll be a star, but he'll be a starter with Alex Sarr. But the Spurs just getting 2 more lottery picks to add to what they added with Wemby and all the pieces they've added. Man, the NBA really loves San Antonio. So they're the biggest winners for sure. Detroit, the biggest losers. Charlotte falling out of the top 4. Big losers. Who else? Who else is a big loser? The Rockets. No, not the Rockets. I forgot who else, but pretty much Charlotte gets 6th, 7th to Portland. San Antonio gets 8. Memphis 9. Memphis, I think, moved back as well. So they're big time losers. Utah 10, Chicago 11th, OKC 12, Sacramento 13, and Portland with 2 picks in this draft as well. They're probably my third favorite. They got 7th and 14th. So anybody with lottery picks and multiples, they got a chance to either trade them or stack young talent. So that's pretty cool. I'll take a couple questions. Let's see here. My guy said, "Hey Dan, I feel like Cade Cunningham should leave Detroit because how awful the Pistons were due to Monty Williams' terrible rotations and terrible ownership. But yeah, I feel bad for the Pistons fans." Well, he's not going to leave because his first contract, his second contract is really where you get the money. The rookie contract is coming up in a couple of years, and then that's when he's going to make real money. And the NBA incentivizes everybody to stay at least till your second contract as a rookie, right? Because that's when you make the big pay, the big bucks. And if he's putting up all-star caliber numbers, he's going to make big bucks. So he's not going to leave the first contract. Now, maybe after the second contract, maybe. Dan, Bronny will participate in all draft scrimmages. Hopefully he shows something so we feel better about getting him in the second round. I don't feel bad. Like I said, as long as we don't use the first overall round pick, which is the 17th, we can actually address something we need with that pick. I wouldn't feel bad on getting, Bronny with either the 55th pick, or if they buy another second round pick, or if he goes on draft and we just sign him. I wouldn't feel bad at all because I like young talent and I'm rooting for the young kid. Do I think he'll be great? Not at all. But hopefully he proves me wrong. I haven't seen enough of him. I'm just going based off of all the star players. Kids are never really good in the NBA. We saw what Shaq's son did. You know what I'm saying? He showed a little bit of promise, but he really didn't really shine like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think the Lakers have to focus on addressing a need, and then we can appease LeBron in the second round or undrafted, right? Bronny isn't a lost cause. There have been many NBA players that weren't that good in college and became a beast in the pros. My main question, he has the athletic gifts. He definitely has the archetype, the body type to play like a guard in the NBA. My only question about Bronny is, does he have the hunger? Because it's different, man. No matter how you twist it and turn it, if you grow up rich, you don't have a lot of the hunger that some of these other kids that grew up with actual needs and poverty and hunger to get out of the hood and just there's a different type of hunger and dedication and work ethic that develops over time for these other players rather than Bronny, who, so he's already a millionaire. He signed a deal with, I forgot who, a gaming deal, probably already got a shoe deal. I'm like, it's different, right? Like, he might be good naturally, but does he have the hunger to get better and improve and be one of the best? I doubt he does. Maybe a decent role player, you know what I'm saying? But similar to like Luke Walton, his dad, Bill Walton, Hall of Famer, his son, barely below average role player. I'll say the best thing Luke Walton ever did was pass the ball. So again, if I pray that Bronny finds his niche in the NBA, but I don't know. You're right about, but that's a completely different sport, Craig. I was absolutely not talking about baseball, but you're right. Ken Griffey Jr. did. You're right. I'm talking about NBA. Until there's somebody that comes along, there always has to be somebody to break the mold. Hopefully it's Bronny. But until there's somebody that comes along and breaks that mold of like superstars, kids, not being half as good as they are, then I'll believe it when I see it. Alchemy. Yo, Dan, there's a rumor about Brandon Ingram trade to the Lakers. Thoughts? It's a fake rumor. I haven't heard nothing about it, which means it's not coming from a legit source, right? I always go to my main sources. I got my main sources on Twitter. Those are the only ones I'd be reporting from. Those are the only ones that actually report news. So I know Brandon Ingram is probably going to get dealt. I don't see where the Lakers or why they would get him. The only way Brandon Ingram would fit on the Lakers is if LeBron doesn't come back, because LeBron has to be on ball, and so does Brandon Ingram. And it's part of the reason why the Pelicans are trading Brandon is because him and Zion don't go well together. It's a similar reason to why the Hawks are trading either Trae Young or DeJounte Murray, because they don't go well together. And as much as I like Brandon Ingram, he never learned to be an off-ball player. In that case, when we made that trade, I'm glad we kept Kuz because he was way more impactful playing off ball and becoming a catch-and-shoot guy, a guy who could defend and do different little things, rather than Ingram, where I think he still thinks he's a superstar in the making. And, he's not going to put his ego to the side. He's going to play the game his way, not the right way, to help a team win, which is why I think the Pelicans want to sell right now, that they could sell high on him. Players that I think could actually benefit from a Brandon Ingram, believe it or not, the San Antonio Spurs. They don't have a heavy ball. How can I say it? Wemby is their guy, right? But he's not really like, he plays off ball. They use him as decoy a lot. They, disguise him a lot in the offense, and then they run screens for him and they kind of set him up. So there's not like a ball dominant player in San Antonio that's a star right now. He actually would fit the Spurs, and again, they have draft picks, so they can make something happen. Maybe I could see him going there. Of course, the Spurs do not need another wing. They could utilize a point guard instead. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Another fit for Brandon Ingram. What will be another good fit for Brandon Ingram? I'm trying to think. Maybe the Portland Trailblazers. They have 2 lottery picks, and maybe they go off and they get a Brandon Ingram, right? They have a bunch of guards already. They could use a wing. I don't think Jeremy Grant fits their timeline. I think they're better off trading Jeremy Grant to a true contender, 3-and-D wing. Plus, he struggles with a lot of injuries. So, again, it'll be interesting. But Ingram's fit has to be somewhere where he can be the main focal point. Or if he's going to be the Robin, his Batman has to be able to play off ball a lot. That way they can both coexist. That's the thing I think about Brandon. Let's see. Jaden says, I hope the Timberwolves beat Denver Chicken Nuggets because I can't stand Jokic flopping, and this is coming from a diehard Nets fan. Yeah, Jaden. Jokic is definitely an annoying player. He's a very skilled, very good player. He's annoying. He gets away with pushing off. He gets away with stiff-arming people. And, he's the NBA sweetheart. He's NBA sweetheart. So that's the way they treat him. And that's why I think we, as fans, unless you're a Denver Nuggets fan, we see it, right? Everybody, all Denver Nuggets fans are blind to it because, of course, he's their darling. But real basketball fans, we see it, and we don't like it either. But it is what it is. They got to figure out a way. They were actually looking better without Rudy Gobert. He came back the last 2 games. They got smoked both of the games with Rudy Gobert. So I think it threw off their rhythm, the fact that they found themselves without him, and they just threw him back on and kind of threw off their rhythm again. I know they won the first game with him, but they barely won that one, so we'll see. Dan, Lakers will interview Chris Quinn from the Heat. People call him Meanie Spo. Chris Quinn, I remember him, yeah. I heard about that, and we'll see what happens. There's a couple of names that are surfacing. Borrego, ex-Charlotte Hornets head coach, has surfaced as well. JJ Redick seems to be the one that they're targeting right now, and there's a couple of other names coming up right now, but nothing official yet. When it happens, I got you guys. He said no more Heat swaps. What's good, Dan? I hope my 6-leg prize picks hits today. Good luck, Alfonso. I hope so too, brother. I hope somebody hits. I wish we could get BI, bro. Brandon Ingram would have been great on this team, but I noticed that, again, he does not coexist with ball-dominant players. He just doesn't. He never added that part to his game. It's like he said to himself, I'm the go-to guy. And he was when Zion wasn't there, but once Zion got there, right, like that year Zion got hurt, it looked like Brandon Ingram's team on the Pelicans. But when Zion came back, he's just so good, man. You can't help but to give him the ball and watch him barrel down the lane. And that throws everybody, who plays like Brandon Ingram, who's an on-ball heavy, high-volume scorer, meaning he needs shots to get buckets. It's going to throw your game off. If you get a limited amount of shots and you're a high-volume scorer, that means you need the more shots you take, the more of a rhythm you catch. And, that was always an issue when he was with the Lakers as well. Like, this dude would have big-time 30, 40-point games, and then he would have 20, 15-point games, 12-point games. And that was because, again, there were some other ball-dominant guys on the team. He couldn't find himself. So. Let's see here. My guy says, Dan, do you think big man and post-game is coming back? Tired of vanilla soft Curry, small ball basketball. I like that, vanilla soft Curry. I believe that everything eventually goes back to what it used to be. There's not a lot of back-to-the-basket guys right now outside of like maybe Joel Embiid and Jokic. But I think eventually it goes back to what it was. You see the mid-range is alive again with some of these young players, and it's going to get better. So I'm happy about that because you're right. I'm sick of the, it's 3-pointers or layups, nothing in between, no footwork, no soft touch, no nothing, no fundamentals. It kind of went away for a little bit. So let's bring it back to the glory days when you would have mouse in the house and you would exploit them instead of looking for a 3 all the time. Here's what drives me the craziest about this era is when they dribble in, right? They're going on a fast break, and instead of driving it, they got a 2 or 3-on-1. They would kick it out to a 3-point shooter, and so most of the times they would blow the opportunity to get easy buckets, easy points. That's how you lose ball games sometimes, right? You're going for the lower percentage. Instead of getting 3, you're getting 0, right? Why not go for the easy 2? And then the next position, another easy 2. Yeah, you got 4 instead of 6, but I'll take 4 rather than 0. You keep missing your 3s, you shoot yourself right out of the ball game. There was an old saying that they used to say back when the Phoenix Suns 7 seconds or less offense was, and it was you live by the 3 and you die by the 3. you shouldn't be doing either. You shouldn't be having to, rely so much on the 3-ball, or you shouldn't have to die by the 3-ball, meaning if your shot isn't going in, you're not in the ball game anymore. So those are the unfortunate new mindset that this modern NBA has. And hopefully eventually it goes back to, if I have a mismatch, let me exploit it. If I'm bigger than a player, let me punish him in the paint. All this, right? Everything. My concern with JJ Redick is that he has not experienced the coaching at NBA level. Yeah, that's everybody. That's all the Laker Nation's concern with JJ Redick. And I hope that we make the right decision, because it's gonna, it's gonna cost us dearly another 2 years or 3 years if we don't. So hopefully we do. What do you think about Chris Quinn as a coach candidate? Anybody that comes from the Spoelstra coaching tree, I like. However, I'm not sure if he's the right coach at this time right now. Like, I would still wait to see what happens with Tyronn Lue. And I would be interviewing other coaches on the side as well. But I do like the prospect of having somebody cut from the same cloth as Coach Spo, but we don't know if it's going to translate. Look, let me give you guys an example, right? It doesn't always translate when they're from the same coaching tree. An example of that is Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's the GOAT, but a lot of his coaches from his coaching tree didn't do too well. The one that did was Steve Kerr, but Luke Walton didn't do well, right? He was from that coaching tree. Derek Fisher didn't do too well. Kurt Rambis didn't do too well, right? So that's just 3 off the top. Who was another one? There was another one that was trying to run the triangle offense. Brian Shaw didn't do too well, right? So coaching tree doesn't always matter. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. So I say proceed with definitely give him an interview. He deserves that. Everybody does. I think Mark Jackson deserves an interview. Everybody does. But don't make your case based off of, he's coming from the he's coming from the Spoelstra coaching tree, so he must be good. It's not a foregone conclusion. Every coach is a different brain, and they're all going to coach a different way, even if they have similarities to that coaching style, right? He said, I agree, Dan. I think the only coach might be open for the assistant is Micah Nori, but other than that, Ty Lue should be the main priority. Yeah, I know a lot of people are high on Micah because of what he has done with the Timberwolves. And again, I'm not going to get too high or too low on anybody. I'm going into this for the first time with an open mind and a wait and see approach. The last time I got excited with Darvin, you saw what the fuck happened there. That was all bad. So this time we got to be patient, Laker fans. We got to wait and see. And I'm not even going to give the coach a lot of time, man. Within the first 10 games, I'll be able to judge the coach this time. Usually I give these guys a whole year, etc. I want to be able to see it right off the bat, man. At least the good coaching tendencies, calling timeouts properly, just at least the fundamentals of being a good head coach. We got to be able to see it, right? Being able to hold players accountable, having the right rotation. There's been coaches that past the preseason, they still don't have a rotation set. Frank Vogel. There's been coaches like Darvin who still don't find their rotations, or there's inconsistent minutes. We got to be smart about all this, man. Got to be really smart. And moving forward, I think the Lakers will be smart because, man, bad experiences the last couple of times. But again, draft combine is underway. I look forward to that. I will be covering one of the 2 games. Which one do you guys want me to cover? Just drop your comments down low. The first or the second game today, right? Let me see what time they start. I'll tell you guys right now. So the first game today is the Celtics versus the Cavs. Second game, that one's at 4 p.m., by the way. And the second game is Thunder versus Mavs. Which one would you guys like me to cover? And okay, well, the majority has spoken already. Mavs versus Thunder. All right, so I will be live on playback, and I will multicast to YouTube at 6:30. Right? Yeah, 6:30 is when it starts. Tip-off time. So make sure you guys are here for that one. Should be a lot of fun, man. Make sure you guys hit the like button. You appreciate these updates. You appreciate these videos, giving you guys all the latest information, and my thoughts. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the post noti bell because I got a lot more coming. Rumor has it this week we're going to ramp up the coaching search. So if I have any updates for you guys, you know where to find me. But I appreciate you guys, man. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you guys later on playback, all right? Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Peace.